I have never been more relieved to go home in my life.
The beginning of my worst travel day ever started by arriving at the airport super early. It started going wrong when I got in line. People were giving the side eye roll. Fingers crossed that that baby is not on our plane. We made it through the line. We decided to get some food. It was my husband, myself, and our son. We boarded the plane. My husband was not sitting with us. My son was under 2 years old, so under 2, they're able to travel as a lap child. Both of our seatmates were actually very cordial, and I thought it was gonna be a really easy flight. I can think of only one other time that I've been on a plane that had more turbulence than this. Declan started getting uneasy. He was smiling 1 second, and the next second he was poltergeist throwing up on the seat in front of him. It was ricocheting off the seat in front of us, onto myself, the passengers next to us. It was one of the worst messes you could imagine. I'm trying to pat everyone down, and the seatbelt sign's still on, so we are not able to get up from where we are. Everyone is disgusted. Everyone is looking at you. I felt a little bit helpless, so once the seatbelt sign went off, there's only so many paper towels in the little stall, and I didn't have extra clothes. All of our clothes were under the airplane. As you can imagine, coming back to my seat, you really feel 300 sets of eyes looking at you from up the aisle. It never crossed my mind that I would have the child that threw up not only on himself and on me, but on perfect strangers sitting next to us. It was a first-time parent absolute nightmare.
My name is Maria. I am closer to 40 than I would like to admit. Last year on spring break, we decided that we would travel to a very large theme park. We got a phone call asking if they could put through a few $1,000s worth of charges. When I got to the lobby, they told me to ask for a specific manager, so I went in. They said, "We need to speak with you in an interview room." Behind the check-in desk, there is a room with a chair, like a small, simple love seat, and a desk with a computer. It was a manager and a uniformed security officer. They closed the door, and it turned into an interrogation instead of an interview or a conversation. They were asking about charges to our account, where I had been that day. Did I see anybody else in the parks that I might have known? Did we talk to anybody? Did we give our names to anybody? None of that had happened. It got to the point that I was starting to get a little bit frustrated. There were close to $10,000 in charges made in my name that I was basically on the hook for. Maybe I wasn't being the most polite person anymore. They had said sheriffs were on the way. Sheriff's officers were on the way for me. I knew that they were outside. I could hear them, multiples, definitely more than one. I guess what happened is somewhere along the lines, my identity was stolen. It is all such a blur. I knew the sheriffs were outside. I could hear them talking. I could also see the room charges because they left the computer open and on. I picked up the phone to just text my husband and kids and let them know, like, hey, I'm still in here. It doesn't look like there's an end in sight. And that's when I saw it, and it all just kind of clicked right there, and I was like, son of a gun, this is it. A lot of theme parks offer photos on rides. When I would look at my ride photos, I could see my family and I, and then there would be other photos randomly of another traveling group. 2 women and 2 young boys. These people showed up in our photos like 3 or 4 different times, and then it all flooded back to me. Then I was upset because I was like, wait a minute, like, I know who these people are. Do they know who I am? My husband and my kids are alone in our room. Then it went from, this is a mistake, to, oh my God, this is really serious. If I hadn't turned around and said, hey, wait a minute, look at these photos and look at these timestamps, like, does this fit what you're talking about? They never would have had an answer. It is what it is. Like, there was nothing we could do about it. You can't change the past. I guess the rest of the days in the parks were fine. We were a little bit more cautious. I have never been more relieved to go home in my life. It will never happen again. Next time they're gonna have to take me dead.
My name is Karen Alvarado. I have a son. His name is Matthew, but we call him Mateo, and he is now 18 months old. My husband and I, we have a small theater company. We really wanted to do a Shakespeare play, so we were like, let's do it, but let's do it different. We take our shows to different locations. Our son Mateo was supposed to stay with a babysitter, but at the very last minute, the babysitter called off, so we had no choice. He ended up coming with us to Pennsylvania to perform in a barn house. I guess I just wasn't expecting so many animals. There were like big panels that were missing from the walls, so you could see goats. And it was a very hot summer day. One of our friends in the audience, she volunteers to hold Mateo while we're performing. You get a few minutes in and he starts going nuts. She's like doing everything she can to like keep him quiet and to keep him calm. So just during the scene, I go and I just pick up the baby, and then I'm like, okay, he's calm. And as soon as I hand him back, he starts crying again. So I bring him back, and like, rah, 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 rah. And it was so hot. And we were just drenched in sweat, and like our adrenaline was up here. Mateo was level 10 crying, and the dogs started barking more. The goats started making more noise. So at a certain point, it was like goat head over here going, ah, dogs yipping. And then there was Mateo, ah! It was just this cacophony of noise and craziness that we had to try our hardest to keep on saying Shakespeare lines over. But we finally got to the end of the show, and of course, like the baby takes the bow with us, right? And as soon as the show's over, I set him down. Perfectly fine. We went to a pizzeria, consumed copious amounts of like pizza and beer, and then we drove back. We got like the loudest standing ovation of our lives, but I would never want to do it again, not in a million years.
I would say to first-time moms, just to remember to always be prepared, always travel with an extra outfit. You never know when you'll need it.
Prepare for the worst, expect the best.
And remember to have fun. The days are long, but the years are short.